So what have I been doing the last 20 years? So I've had a practice in strategy and leadership, but always in the nonprofit world. I do have an MBA, which I treasure. I also have a master's in public policy, but I've spent my career mostly bringing business skills to nonprofit and mission-driven organizations. That's relevant today to Preemptive Love because we're trying to look in a really smart way at how we do our work, but our work is mission-driven. I say leadership and strategy because I mostly help organizations hone their mission, come together and agree on what they're going to do together, and work together better. So I often go into organizations that are in disarray or facing challenges or difficult times. So I've done that in a Ivy League university. I did it in a small church of 67 people with a brand new $10 million endowment. I did it with a choral singing group. I've done it with really different environmental, so very different nonprofits. So Peace Corps is a really, really important part of my life. I loved it. I was in a tiny village without running water, no electricity. We had to go down the hill to a small city for a telegram. And I was in a family's house where they had 10 children, and I slept in a room with 6 people. And I worked in the schools and 6 villages around our little village. And I just got very attached to the people. It was very poor. I saw people die from nutrition. My neighbor's son across the street. People had bare feet. There were pigs in the street. People got sick, very sick a lot, and there wasn't care nearby. People died from an infection, a machete fight. So it was very poignant and also very beautiful. What did I learn? I learned about what it means to go into a place where nobody knows you. And at some level, they don't trust you because my Spanish wasn't very good. So in one way, I knew nothing. On the other hand, I knew things they didn't know. And that taking your time to communicate it slowly and carefully and gaining respect and trust was what I think we have to do in every family we enter and community and organization. And so the work that we do on the ground right now in PLC is Preemptive Love is very close to my heart. It's repeating the lessons I learned the hard way and the good way about patience and respect and trust and also joy. You know, the joy of making a difference, the joy of putting together a program, the joy of having food. The first thing I did after Peace Corps and traveling around the world was to work on a small project at Harvard that was in the program on negotiation that was trying to avoid accidental nuclear war, which was a pretty big undertaking, much as our work at Preemptive Love is. But what we really did was develop a language and relationships that people could depend on in a time of crisis. So at that time, the hotline was how the US communicated with the former Soviet Union, and it was not a red telephone. It was a teletype machine in code. And had there been an errant nuclear missile, something launched by mistake, we didn't really have the systems to call somebody up on a cell phone and say, oops, that was a mistake, trust me. So it is actually a lovely metaphor for the work we do also in that a lot of what we do on the ground is not food bags or soccer balls or soccer uniforms. It is about people trusting us, trusting each other, and trusting others that aren't in their community. I do in particular love the peacemaking element to the way we do relief and jobs. I do think putting people who are dissimilar together is an elegant element to what we do. I like the ethics and the backbone and the intent. The intent of what we do feels like the right ethics and approach, and that makes me feel good. First of all, absolutely, completely was the mission. I've worked with a lot of nonprofits, but this happens to be my passion. As you can tell from my background, my sweet spot, my love, so that was attractive. The time of transition is one that I'm familiar with and I'm intrigued by. And so this does happen to organizations, that they lose or they change or they don't have their founders, then have to go to the next level of maturity and stability. And so that's the transition that we're in right now, is what will it look like with the really thoughtful, well-spoken, inspirational founders not at the table. It's a very common transition. It happens in the private sector also. So that was intriguing to me. What I didn't know, and I don't know if someone could have told me how much I would enjoy the people I work with. That's what sustains me, certainly. I know what we do is what I wanted to do. I know this transition is what I wanted to do. I just didn't know I would like the people so much. So that's a lovely surprise. So what do I love about a rebirth or transformation? Okay, I'll tell you what I don't love, but is the most important and I'm proud of, and then what I really love. I think it's really important to put the ship in better shape. So policies and procedures and insurance, and it's not like I love that stuff, but I actually really love opening up the box so that it's easier for everybody to access, get information, know how to do what they do. The piece that I think I love the most is all about building the right team and empowering others to do the work. Because I'm not really the worker. I don't come with the substantive knowledge or expertise, but I am a facilitator. And I guess my favorite time is when I get to let go, when I get to find out who has which skills, and sometimes elevate people or sometimes put them in a different place. And that's what I love, is when people who are good at what they do get to do what they do and feel good about what they do. And that's really my job. So what have I seen since I've come on board, and what do I expect in the near future? Well, it took me a while, as it did in my village in Honduras, to get up to speed and to know people's names and who was doing what and what we're doing. While I've been doing that, we have been doing what we've always been doing. I feel like we haven't missed a beat on the ground. I don't feel like anything there has stopped or changed much. That being said, I think that there's a lot of work right now to reimagine how we do that work as we go forward in a different version. One of the things that I care about is being clear about honing our mission, what we do, and what we do in a very special way. I don't think that anyone on the ground is going to feel the difference. I think we're going to be better set up. I don't think that the donors are going to see a difference. They might understand in a more simple version what we do and what we don't do. And we continue to change people's story who come out of distressed or fragile or war-torn areas, or who have walked through Central America all the way to the border of the United States and Mexico and have lost their possessions and lost their dignity and sometimes lost their family and the people they care about, to change their story. For me, it's that rebuild piece that I love, of going forward. What is my job? How do I care for the people I love? And how do I begin to build my own community? Trust the people around me, rebuild. This rebuild piece, it's what we've always done. So we're in the Mideast and we're in Latin America, and they're really different. Those are really different cultures. And some things are working in the translation and some things aren't, and that's okay. I think we started out as being very nimble and responsive and adaptive and quick, and there's tremendous value in that. But we didn't get some of our basic systems in place, and we're working on doing that now. We did a lot of very different things, and I think maybe we need to focus a little bit. From my background, working in this peacemaking element, that I do think differentiates us from many other relief and development organizations, is what I would call our distinctive competence. I think we need to do it better, and I think we need to talk about it better. I think we need to make it really clear how, when we go on the ground, as nimble and responsive as we are, we depend on existing relationships. And we're very good at those relationships. And we nurture those and we care for those. And so that is also how we begin to embed peacemaking, because you have to have trust to be able to do some of that, bringing people together in a training that might not have been in the same room, having kids play soccer who might not have played before, or building community in a migrant group. So, so what I want to say to our donors, oh my God, you're going to get me crying now. I really, really appreciate people. I really am crying, I'm sorry. I appreciate people who trust us, people who, well, first of all, I appreciate anyone who wants to share what they have. So I'm really big on this. There's some people who don't like to share what they have. They just don't even care. I think there's a ton of joy in sharing what you have. It's just the way I roll. And so I love giving people who do want that the chance to participate in something where I hope there's as much joy for you as there is for us in the doing. And I do hope we get better at bringing our donors in to be participants with us, to understand what we do and contribute in other kinds of ways, and to do peacekeeping in our own communities. But I am deeply grateful for a very solid foundation we have. We are springing from a bedrock of extraordinary support over many years that many nonprofits would really love to have. A lot of the organizations in the NGO space don't have these kinds of unrestricted dollars. That's honey, that's manna from heaven, that's gold. You give us in small monthly donations, those are the best. In large one-time crazy gifts, and then you trust us. And I appreciate that trust. I hope we share the joy. I know there's been a transition in this year. I think that preemptive love will look different. And that's my hope as you move forward with us, that you actually get pretty excited about that as we get clearer on what it is that we do for people in fragile settings, in conflict areas. We create a story. And if we're really good at it, they are remaking their story. It's not us. We provide the setting, we provide the foundation. Your work with us, your trust in us, and your financial generosity allows us to do on the ground what each of us individually can't do. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for trusting us. I hope you share the joy. I hope you get a lot of joy from your giving. I really think there should be joy in giving. And you should be proud of what you have given. Thank you.
I wasn't expecting you to cry.
I know, I wasn't either. It's so...